Hello and welcome to the 10th lecture of the course Forex in 3 steps. Today we will talk about a very important aspect in trading, which is margin and using leverage. Margin and leverage basically allow a trader to increase his capital, his or her capital in the markets through a broker. So basically the broker lends the trader money, which increases his capital, which makes the trader able to win and lose on the new capital amount he or she has. We will explain this much more deeper in a second, but that's the brief and the simple version of what margin and leverage are. So let's take an example so we can discuss and explain this much better. But first, how do you trade in the forex market? So basically, all you need to trade in the forex market is a broker. Of course, you cannot be directly involved in the market. You need a broker that allows you to access the market and trade on the market. So the trader signs up with a broker. The broker allows access to the forex market. You cannot go directly to a forex market and access it without a broker. So let's take an example. Last lecture we explained what trading is and what is required to have a trade. We said we need a buyer, a seller, and a market. So let's take an example of a regular normal trade. So in this example, we have a car trader who has $20,000. He goes and buys a normal car with the $20,000, and after a few years, depending on if the market increased or decreased, if he goes and decides to sell that car, he will either profit or lose money. Very simple life explained thing. Let's take an example of the same trade but with margin so you can understand exactly what it's like using a broker and using margin through your broker. The car trader, this car trader has only 1,000. He does not have 20,000. So he goes and he wants to buy the same car for the same price, which is 20,000, but he only has 1,000. So the car manufacturing company tells him, come, we have an offer. We will give you this car even though you only have 1,000. We will take this 1,000 from you and we'll give you the car. So the car trader goes to the company and gives them the 1,000 and he takes the car. After a while, when he comes and he wants to sell the car, if he wins, then he will be able to sell the car for example, 21,000, and then he will gain 1,000 and go and return back the money of the car. So he will go return the car for 20,000, but he sold it for 21,000. So he takes the $1,000 plus the 1,000 he already has, and therefore he profits 1,000. So if he profits, this guy has made the same amount the same guy did with $20,000. He was able to do it with only $1,000 because he used the margin, and he used a broker or a company that was able to help him and lend him this car, which he was able to find and sell it for profit, and then he earned the same amount another guy invested with $20,000. That's how margin and leverage works. Now you can ask me, so what if he loses? He does not own this car. He just lended. What will happen if he loses money? The margin system works in a way where you can never lose more than what you gave the company. So this car trader gave the company $1,000, right? Then his margin is only $1,000. The price, if the market price of this car after he buys it for 20,000 decreases to 19,000 or below, then the company will come take back the car and he will not get anything because he already lost the 1,000 that he gave here. So he gave the company 1,000, he lost it. The value of the car is no longer 20,000, it's now 19,000. So he lost all his money. The company comes, collects the car back, so they don't lose anything, and they take the 1,000. So they have not lost anything. They took his balance, and he lost $1,000. That's how the margin system works. And that's how leverage works. And that's exactly the benefit of margin. This guy, if he wins, he was able to turn 1,000 into another 1,000. So he basically 2x his account. And his return on investment is 100% if he was able to win. On the other hand, this guy needed $20,000 to make 1,000, which is 5%. So if the guy here who used a normal trade wins the 1,000, he has only made a 5% gain on his account, which is 20,000, and this guy has doubled his account already by just doing the same thing through margin. But of course, when losses happen, losses can be aggressive as this one. But of course, after we go through the course, we will teach you risk management tips and much more tips that will allow you and keep you safe in the financial markets. But the risks are also involved. As much as this can be profitable and make you 2x your accounts, this guy, if he loses and the market goes to 19,000, then he will lose 100% of his account. But if the same happens here, this guy has only lost 5% of his account. But it's the same thing. Now let's go specifically into leverage. Leverage is a tool provided by brokerage firms that allows you to trade with amounts larger than your actual capital. In other words, it is a temporary loan that gives you the ability to open bigger trades and achieve greater profits or losses than you can be using only your own money. Let's take an example. If the leverage is 1 to 100 and your capital is 100, you can trade an amount up to $10,000 because with this number, you technically multiplied your capital with 100, which makes you able to enter and exit trades with this amount of capital. But you also lose, you profit and lose money as if you have this number. So as soon as the same thing we learned the example before, if you start losing more than $100, they will take your $100 and you will exit the trade. You don't really have $10,000, but you win and lose as if you have $10,000. A quick terminology so we can understand and know exactly what these words mean, because later on there will be a video on MetaTrader 5, which is one of the most important and popular trading platforms there is, and you'll need to understand all of these terms in order to understand what exactly is happening with your account and how much money you have and what type of trades you're opening and how much margin you have left, all of that. So let's start off by the basics. Let's start off by balance. Balance is basically the amount in your account without open trade. Equity, on the other hand, is the current balance as well, including running profits or losses. So if you have any open trades, equity includes that. Balance does not include that. Then we have used margin, which is the amount reserved to open the trade. We have free margin, which is the remaining amount in the account available to open trades. We also have margin level, which is the ratio of equity to used margin, which is basically calculated by making the equity divided used margin times 100. And that is it for this lecture. See you in the next lecture.